I've been watching Ben Simmons for quite some time, ever since he came into the NBA. Even though he didn't miss pretty much, I think, the entire first season due to injury. But coming into the NBA, I've always seen these comparisons to LeBron James. If he only had a jump shot, they say, he'd be LeBron James. Fine. Okay. 2016, 17, 18, turned into 2019, and then 2020 we had, a horrible year, a year of a lot of pain, a year of a lot of losses, a very challenging year for all of us, right? But one thing that these NBA players had a lot of time on, time as far as in 2020, they had a lot of time on their hands with that shutdown. So you saw some players make the most of that time. We saw Nikola Jokic drop a lot of weight, get into the best shape of his life, which preceded this MVP caliber season that he had. So he got rid of the one weakness that he had, which was his conditioning. Some other players, you could see the step up in their games. Donovan Mitchell, for all of his flaws, stepped his game up this year. Paul George, all the ridicule that he got last year, and rightfully so, he stepped up this year. Even though he does have his moments where he reverts back to being pandemic P or whatever, but still this year he's taken a huge step up. Devin Booker has come up and arrived upon the scene. But you see, some guys, they tell on themselves. AD, you could just pretty much tell from his performance this year that he spent much of the little break that they had between the championship and going into this season, although you could blame the short turnaround for a lot of this, but a lot of it was AD was living off the high of last year. But that's not even really an excuse for Ben Simmons. You see, Ben Simmons has not improved one iota. Lonzo Ball, who we have all critiqued, maybe to a fault, to be honest with you, he's heard the criticisms. He has improved. You haven't seen me do a Lonzo Ball video probably in a year. That goes to show you how much he has improved as a basketball player. And I've given him his credit on that. Ben Simmons, on the other hand, he isn't even trying. He ain't even trying. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Russell Westbrook, oftentimes get ridiculed by the media for their inability to make perimeter shots. In this perimeter orientated 3-point trigger happy league, that's going to be expected. I think it gets overblown and it's overkill at times, but that's to be expected. But one thing that you cannot say about those two is that they aren't trying to improve their games. They are. It may be at a glacial pace, especially when it comes to Giannis. He has more upside. Russ is who he is. But they try. Ben Simmons has not tried. In fact, if you really look at Ben Simmons, he's probably regressed. There's some people want to blame it on confidence, whatever. Why? Because up until to, up until this week, really, I think the media, for the most part, have taken it easy on Ben Simmons. But now the proof is in the pudding. Time has run out. The process in Philly has fallen apart. The Sixers should have won this series. And somebody could, I seen Skip Bayless go on television and stupidly try to blame all this on Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid. Let me tell you something about Doc Rivers, okay? Doc Rivers was not the most blessed NBA player when it pertained to talent. But I tell you one thing, Doc Rivers got the most out of his talent because some years that he played in the league, he was almost a borderline all-star when he was playing, especially with the Atlanta Hawks, when he was playing with Dominique Wilkins. He got the most out of his talent. He tried, okay? Doc Rivers got an opportunity to coach soon after he retired. I think he retired in 96 with the Spurs, I believe. After that, he retired, got into broadcasting. People might forget this, but Doc Rivers actually once had a broadcast type voice before he just blew it out. That's all the yelling. But then he had opportunity to coach. I think it was the Orlando Magic. Won Coach of the Year in 1999, even though some people thought it should have went to anybody else, some other candidate, excuse me. But he made the most out of his opportunity coaching. Now you can make a debate about whether Tom Thibodeau or should have got more credit for the Celtics championship, but Doc Rivers won the championship as a coach. Doc Rivers has helped at the helm to turn around some franchises. Now you can criticize Doc for not being able to close the deal enough and blowing a lot of series, but Doc isn't out there playing. Doc isn't out there shooting free throws. Doc isn't out there turning the ball over. So as a coach, he does bear some responsibility, excuse me. But this is only his first year in Philly. I don't think it's fair to blame Doc Rivers for this situation. But I'm going to tell you why Doc Rivers, in my opinion, said what he said about Ben Simmons when asked, is he a starting point guard on a championship team? Because Doc Rivers did everything he could last year to defend the Clippers, right? He defended them. Meanwhile, Tyronn Lue, one person, Paul George is another one. You had some other players. They did everything they could to throw Doc Rivers under the bus. Paul George whining about he's not being used right in the offense. Tyronn Lue maneuvering behind the scenes, wanting the top spot. It worked. Doc Rivers was jettisoned after a few days. And now he's in another opportunity. But what Doc's not going to do is throw down on the he's not going to take the blow this time. Okay? He's not going to fall down on that sword this time. Oh fuck no. It's Ben Simmons and rightfully so. Joel Embiid was hurt. He still gave you 30 and what was it, 30 and 10 basically this game. And Joel Embiid shows you that he cares. He might be an emotional guy, but at least he cares. Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers, okay, they're being honest with you. They're telling you it's him. This guy wouldn't even dunk the fucking basketball because he's so afraid of being fouled. That's a guy he's afraid, man. You don't want no person like that on your fucking team. I don't care how much athletic ability he has. Who gives a fuck about that? Skip Bayless talking about all this athletic ability. Well, Darius Miles had a lot of athletic ability. That didn't fucking matter. He was out the league in a couple of years. James Harden, who I got on yesterday in one of my videos, right? At least James Harden tried. James Harden had every fucking excuse not to go out there with that injury. But at least he went out there. I'll give him this. He went out there and he tried. He didn't play well in the second half. And yes, in my opinion, he still choked. But at least he did go out there and try. Ben Simmons isn't trying. The only thing Ben Simmons is interested in from his track record is fucking Instagram models and fucking all these Kardashian bitches and shit. That's the only thing he seems to be proficient in. Now in that area, he has a very high scoring average. You know what I'm saying? He's very proficient at taking it to the hole of those mildly quims. But when it comes to the game of basketball, he's like a limp dick. So I don't know. I never say this. I never say that a player shouldn't get paid because you know what I'm saying these guys usually work hard to get their money. But if it was some legal way, and I'm sorry, I got to say this shit, man. I'm sorry. The Sixers should sue this motherfucker for breach of contract, man. That's not going to happen. But fuck it. Look, if you go, let's say you get let's say it's not exactly the same thing, but let's say you get hired and you're working in a factory, right? And they tell you what you're supposed to do, and you're part of a team. You know, it takes the team as far as like, let's say you're working in a factory job and you're working on some type of line, right? And you're putting parts together. You have to work as a team. If one person isn't doing, matter of fact, you know what? This is I think, a better comparison for most people. Let's say you work a job. Let's say you're working some type of manual labor job, right? And let's say you're working uh, on a construction site, right? And you're busting your ass. It's fucking 90 degrees outside. You doing whatever the fuck you got to do your job. You know what I'm saying? You're painting, or let's say you do it all. You're fucking painting. You're you know doing the construction side of it. You're riveting and putting all this shit together. You know what I'm saying? And you got one fucking dude who lacks. You know what I'm saying? He's just sitting around, ain't doing shit on his phone when he's not supposed to be on his phone. He spent too much fucking time trying to talk to fucking females that work there. You know, always in a female face, but when it comes to fucking working, he ain't doing shit. You know what I'm saying? And he complains all fucking day. At the end of that fucking day, you're gonna want to whoop his ass. Because you know why? Because in your mind, you're thinking, this nigga walking around here stealing money. Now mind you, you might be only making 16, 8, $17 an hour. These motherfuckers make 30 something million dollars a year, bro. If you're a ticket buying a ticket buying fan and consumer with the 76ers, if you're a ticket owner and you got to pay all these high ass prices for food and tickets and parking and all this bullshit, and you see this motherfucker out there not doing a fucking thing, going through the motions, not trying to help his teammates by shooting. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't shoot, you're hurting the offense. You're not even putting pressure on the defense. Ben Simmons is the reason why the Atlanta Hawks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's the reason. There's no reason why a guy that's built like Ben Simmons, 6'10", 240, athletic, if he had just an average jump shot, just a serviceable jump shot, there's no reason he can't average over 20 points a game. There's no reason why this guy can't shoot at least 65% from the line. I don't know what the fuck. Since when have you started having point guards who have traditionally been the best free throw shooters on teams? These guys, what the fuck are they doing in college, man? What are they doing? What are they working on? Do these motherfuckers work on basic skills anymore? How are Lonzo Ball and Ben Simmons, who are supposed point guards, how are these motherfuckers only shooting 50% from the line, 40% from the line? That's what you expected from the Chris Dudleys. That's what you expected from the Shaqs, the big men, the guys who have physically large hands, okay? big ass hands that get in the way. It's a physical thing for why most of these big guys can't shoot. Why are these guys who are point guards? They can't shoot. That's a skill problem. That's a skill inefficiency. But these motherfuckers getting paid all this fucking money. But I'm not supposed to critique them. Hey man, you hating on. Fuck you! You go to your job every fucking day and you hate on Reggie because he's better looking than you and he gets bitches at the job. And you hate on him all fucking day. But when I hate on this nigga right here, oh man, you hating on the brother. Fuck this dude, man. He fucking robbing Philly blind, man. Charles Barkley played in Philadelphia for 8 fucking years. And after Dr. J retired, after Moses Malone was traded in one of the dumbest trades in NBA history, after Andrew Toney had to retire because of foot injuries, after Maurice Cheeks began to decline as an all-star level player, it was Charles Barkley's team. After Bobby Jones retired, it was Charles Barkley's team. And Barkley played on some very bad fucking teams, okay? Barkley played on some horrible fucking teams where his best teammates were guys like, and I'm not being besmirching of their memory, but the late Armand Gilliam and guys like Mike Jaminski and Hershey Hawkins and Charles Shackelford, okay, and Rick Mahorn. They were his best teammates. That's not a championship level team in the least bit. But Charles Barkley did what the fuck he had to do as far as producing. He had to go out there and be efficient, shooting 55 to 60% from the floor. He had to go out there and average between 25 and 29 points a game. He had to rock the boards, being the shortest man ever to win a rebounding title in 86, 87, averaging 14.6 boards a game, routinely getting 15, 20 rebound games. He had to be a playmaker. The reason why Charles Barkley was so fucking well-rounded, because he had to do every fucking thing for the Sixers. He had to do everything. Then they get on him about not being a great defender. Motherfucker, I'm doing everything. I'm scoring. I'm rebounding. I'm being a secondary playmaker for the fucking Philadelphia 76ers. Fuck do you think I'm not playing hard on defense? But Charles Barkley got criticized for not being more competitive with the Sixers because he was playing in the same conference with Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan. Was it fair? No. He didn't have a Joel Embiid to play alongside him. His best scorer was Hershey Hawkins, who was a fine shooter, but he wasn't nearly as big as Tobias Harris. He didn't have a guy who was such a pure shooter like Seth Curry. Hawkins was good, but Seth is on another level to me as far as three-point shooting. Although Hershey, I think, is a better player overall. So what I'm saying is, Ben Simmons deserves all the fucking criticism he's getting today. Okay? And look, you can sit here and give all the excuses for this motherfucker. At the end of the day, he's out of Philly. He's gone. He's gone. The rhetoric that you're hearing, that's telling you this motherfucker's gone. You know what I'm saying? Now, wherever the fuck he goes, I wish him well. But he has been, as Joe Clark says, Ben, you have been expurgated. I wish you well.